Welcome to Commander Class 102. Today is going to be a very weird aspect because we're not really talking about commander keywords or stuff like that. We're kind of talking about a very annoying card type called counter. If you don't know what counter is, this video is perfect for you. I'll be going over the rule of it, giving a few little basic hands out, and in this one I'm actually going to show a few counter cards, show a few commanders that counter, but then also show commanders that can't be countered. Now, if you don't know what counter is at all, don't worry, I will go through that before going through all that stuff that may give you a headache. But before I go through any of it, a word from my sponsor, which is me and my small little Etsy shop where I make t-shirts and hoodies in multiple colours and different sizes with funny card themed comedy joke things on it. They're really soft and I do enjoy making them, so if you like me and what I do and want to help out the channel, please go and buy yourself something nice, and that'd be one of my t-shirts and hoodies. If you definitely don't know what the definition of counter is, it is:
to counter a spell or ability is to remove it from the stack, usually placing it in its owner's graveyard. This prevents the spell or ability from resolving. A spell can be countered in one of two ways. First, another spell can resolve that explicitly counters it. A spell that can counter another spell in this way is often referred to as a counterspell, after the original counterspell. Or, if all the targets of a spell or ability have become illegal, for example, a creature targeted by a black spell gained protection from black, the game rules counter the spell. A spell that is countered this way is said to have fizzled. Some cards specify that they cannot be countered by spells or abilities. This only prevents the explicit method of countering spells. Such a spell can still be countered by the game rules.
If you're like me, that makes no sense to you and you want it in layman's terms, pretty much counter means no, don't go there, don't touch my no square. It's pretty much one of those things that whatever the card says, if it has the word counter on it and they play that thing, you get to go, no, I don't like that card, that goes bye-bye. So pretty much that's what countering is. It is whatever someone plays, if you don't like it and you have a counter card saying that card is on it, you get to go, no, bye-bye, I don't like you. Which a lot of people in the Magic Gathering community do not like. People do like to play their cards, and countering them is kind of not the worst thing you can do, but it is up there as it really irritates players. Now, when it comes to me personally, I don't really play counter cards unless it has a secondary like theme that helps out. So for example, I have an Animar deck where I have a 3-color counter spell, but I get to put a 1/1 counter, which is definitely going to be on my commander. But to understand countering spells, you have to kind of know the basics of priority. So for example, if player A, which is going to be in front of you, plays a creature spell, and you go, I don't like that creature, but the person next to you gets priority because they are the next when it goes to the turn, so they have the potential to counterspell if they have one. Usually when it comes to this, the opponent will be like, no, or thumbs up that it goes off, and then it's your turn, and if you have the counterspell, you get to go, in priority, I play this counterspell. But then if player 3 has also a counterspell, you save them from the counterspell. So it's kind of a priority makes the game work better because you're not just jumping the gun and prioritizing your turn over someone else's, and then you are able to then counter it yourself, or potentially the player in front of you counter it first, but then the downside is the player after you can get to keep their counterspell, which then that can stop you. If I confused you with that, I apologize. But then you have to also make sure the card they're reading doesn't say cannot be countered, because there is cards out there that have the text cannot be countered, which in my opinion should be like shrunken down to a new keyword. But there is like a load of cards, and it has happened to me. I have a Coma deck, and once or twice I've gone, I'm playing my commander, and someone without even looking at it has just gone counterspell, and I'm like, it says you cannot be countered. Now everyone knows you have a counter, and it fizzles. They don't get to play it, or would be nice and they can keep it because they didn't understand. So counter cards come with many variations. There's not just one. There's like counter target instant sorcery, counter target creature, counter target legendary card. So there is different counter spells, so you have to read what it says. So if you've never seen a counter spell in your life, here are some on screen now. You get
Force of Will, Mana Drain, Access Denied, Counterbore. Cryptic Command. Fierce Guardianship. Force of Negation. Mystic Confluence.
So this would not be a commander class without talking about the commanders of this deck, but I'm putting them in two categories. I'm putting them in commanders that can counter stuff, that are very, very rare, and I've only ever seen really one played, and then there's commanders that cannot be countered. So first are the ones that can counter themselves, and they are called
Kozilek, the Great Distortion. Adric, Mathematical Genius. Urtai Resurrected. Hisoka, Minamo Sensei.
And now the ones that cannot be countered, I'm not showing all of them because there's actually a fair few, but they are
Surik Dragonclaw. Thrun, Breaker of Silence. Lyre, Disciple of the Drowned. Akroma, Angel of Fury. Chromium, the Mutable. Koma, Cosmos Serpent. Nezahal, Primal Tide.
Now my thoughts and opinions on counters as a whole. Counters is one of those things that separates different players. Pretty much if you've ever been called a blue player before, it's rather you steal a bunch of stuff or you counter all the time. Personally, I'm not a fan of counters, but I don't get annoyed when people play them. It's just not my play style, and the one thing I like about Magic is different people have different styles, but they can all play together. I only ever really put a counter in if it's like necessary for the deck. So if I have like a deck that matters with counters, I will put the one that adds a counter on. When it comes to stuff, I'll put only the counter that matters to me in the deck. I like to see what people play and see if I can find a way to beat it without countering it. It's kind of like I want to see my opponent then just go, I don't like that, and play it, but that's just me. There is people that make full counter decks, and I have a friend that had a full counter deck and not many people liked it, but I thought it was fun. So it's one of those things where this is going to be a huge separation of people because people love it and people hate it when it comes to counter decks. But it's going to be around as one of the biggest things in Magic, and to be honest, I'm kind of happy with that. But as always, let me know what you think of counter decks in the comments down below. While you're there, remember to like and subscribe and do all that YouTubey stuff. If you like this commander class, I have the previous commander class here, a playlist of all my commander classes here, and a subscribe button here, and I will see you all in the next video.